This is the I Am Salt Lake podcast, showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today.
Welcome to episode 15 of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name is Chris Hollifield, and we're recording in beautiful downtown Salt Lake City today. First of all, I want to give a big thank you to the Blues End Band, Christian Coleman and the Blues End Band, for providing the music for the podcast. You could check them over out on Facebook at facebook.com/Christian Coleman Blues End Band. He's also over at the Hive Gallery that I interviewed them in episode 7 of the podcast. So thank you very much, Christian, for providing the music for the podcast. First things first, if this is your first time checking us out, we are online at iamsaltlake.com. That's going to connect you with all the previous episodes of the podcast, as well as your ability to subscribe to us through iTunes as well as Stitcher Radio. If you do subscribe to us on iTunes, can I highly suggest that you leave us a review as well? That really helps with our ratings, as well as if you're on Stitcher Radio, then hit that Facebook or that tweet button. That way your friends could check us out as well. I'm just trying to get the word out as much as possible about the I Am Salt Lake podcast. So go to iamsaltlake.com. You can click on each individual episode and download them from the site as well as play them directly. I cannot recommend you support them. Support each individual person that has been on the podcast. Support them, because without their help, I could not have done the podcast. Speaking of help, I highly recommend you check out my wife's clothing store, Sorry Clementine, located at 366 South, 500 East, number 104, right in downtown Salt Lake City. It's in the Ray Building, directly west of Walgreens, right there on 4 South. Kind of in the general vicinity, Urban Lounges down there. 4 South, there's a Blockbuster Smith's kind of down there a little bit. If you know where Velocity Bags is, she's in the same building as there. So, yeah, her hours are during the week, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., as well as Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. She is closed right now Sunday and Tuesday, so check her clothing out. SorryClementine.com, Facebook.com/SorryClementine. And that's going to do it for my rambling. Be sure to check us out, iamsaltlake.com. In this episode, I had the opportunity to sit down with Rob from the Weekenders. They're a local band here from Salt Lake City. Got a chance to get to know him a little bit better and find out what he's all about. If it wasn't for this podcast, I probably wouldn't have had that opportunity. So I'm grateful for the podcast happening. It's really helped me get to know Salt Lake City a little bit better. If you have any suggestions for the show, feel free to drop us a line at iamsaltlake@gmail.com. Tell me what your thoughts are and tell me who you'd like to see me bring on the show. So I'm going to quit rambling here and jump on in. I'm going to play a song here from the Weekenders. This is one of my favorite songs called Missy. It's by the Weekenders. Click on the show notes, episode 15. That's going to connect you with their website, Facebook, as well as Twitter. And you know what? You can download their whole album. So then you can put them in your MP3 player, your iPod, your iPhone, whatnot. So thanks again, Rob, for sitting down with me. This is the I Am Salt Lake podcast, episode 15. My name is Chris Hollifield. Thank you very much for joining in with us.
I know the one who spilled the beans, played a trick, wrote on me. Think you're gonna flee the scene, Missy, Missy. Come out, wherever you are. Come out, wherever you are. Wherever you are. Come out, wherever you are. Think I never read your lies. eyes. I'm awake when you sleep at night. Cast away fear in time, Missy, Missy. Come out, wherever you are. Come out, wherever you are. Wherever you are, wherever you are. Come out, wherever you are. About your faulty plan. Shut your mouth, you're sinking fast. I'll see you when the gavel falls. He will seal your fate for you once more. Come out, wherever you are. Come out, wherever you are. Wherever you are, wherever you are. Come out, wherever you are. You can crawl and hide, but time will seal your fate. And I wonder. Wherever you are, wherever you are. Wherever you are, wherever you are. Oh, wherever you are. Come out, wherever you are. Come out, wherever you are. Wherever you are, wherever you are. Wherever you are, wherever you are. Wherever you are, wherever you are.
So, anyways, well, let's get started here. We're here at the Sorry Clementine shop. You were admiring the fabric in the shop here. I'm with Rob from the Weekenders. First of all, why don't you how long has the band been around? How long have you guys been a band?
Well, we've been kind of an ever-rotating cast maybe since like 2010, late 2009. I was just writing a ton of music on my own. I just hit a point where I was like, well, I have so much material now. I kind of want to see it play live. I want to play it live, and I want to hear like what other people have to bring to it, you know. So I called up a.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. So I called up a guy that I had played with in the past, and a drummer, John Murphy, and I gave John a buzz, and I was like, let's play some music. And he's like, well, I haven't heard from you for like 6 years or whatever, 5-6 years. And he's like, actually, I moved back to New York. He's from New York too. And I was like, oh, well, that's a bummer. I really liked his feel. I've always liked playing with John. And then he was like, actually, I'm moving back to Utah next week. He went to New York for grad school and some music stuff. And it was just great timing. And he came back to Utah, and we kind of started things up. But, you know, John has been like the integral member. Since then, we've gone through so many different players. Just, you know, people have different availabilities and priorities when it comes to music and life. And so people were, you know, joining the band and then quickly moving away to different cities or getting a bigger, better job. Or so it's been like an ever-changing cast of players.
So you play guitar, correct, or no? Or what
I do. In the live band, I play guitar and I sing.
Okay. And then is John still the drummer, or you mentioned...
John actually just moved to Arizona Monday.
So you're looking for a drummer then, possibly?
I think we found a guy.
You think you found a guy?
Yeah. But the last couple weeks I've been auditioning people, and we've been going through a lot of different drummers. Salt Lake actually has a lot of drummers.
Which I've heard the opposite. I've heard that they didn't.
Really?
I've heard that they didn't have a lot of. Maybe but you know what? I'm not a musician, so I don't know.
Well, you know, you're probably right in both respects. I know that there are a lot of people who play drums in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that Backbeats, this little drum shop in Holiday, can exist. It's like a really eclectic, small drum shop that does great business and great people over there. Just the fact that a drum shop like that can exist in Salt Lake shows that there's a market. Whereas like other cities, even New York only has like one or two specialty shops. Like Boston's got Jack's Drum Shop. Like there's like even a lot of big cities or larger cities in Salt Lake can't support like a drum specific store. I guess things have kind of gone the way of the big box Guitar Center. But so to find the right drummer it can be very challenging, you know. I mean, a lot of people play drums, you know.
So you think you found the right drummer? Hopefully now.
I think we did.
And then what about a bass player? Do you have a bass player then, or
we have a bass player? And just recently, Mike Sassage, he owns a studio down here in Salt Lake, Man vs. Music Studio. He's a phenomenal guitar player. I actually went to him to get the album mixed and mastered, and he worked on it with me for a while. By the time we finished it, he kind of wanted to join the band, and I didn't ask him because I didn't ask him because I knew he had a lot of other projects, and he was such a phenomenal player, and you know he had the whole studio thing. So I just didn't, I didn't think he'd like want to join our little band.
Yeah.
And he wanted to join, and I was like totally humbled, and I was
awesome.
Of course you can join. He's such a great guy and great musician. So that's kind of a new addition for us, at least the last couple months. So that's been really nice to have that extra guitar to double lines and for lead stuff, and it just fills the sound out a little.
So you have a guitarist and a bass player then, and another guitarist.
Yeah, so it's a
four-piece band. Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent.
So 2 guitars, bass, and drums.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so let's say somebody who's listening hasn't heard you guys before. How would you describe your sound or your influences, or how would you describe your band?
I used to tell people that it was just kind of straight up rock and roll, and until I started to look for another drummer, I realized that it really wasn't very much straight up rock and roll. I think it really stems from kind of my background as a drummer. I'm more of a drummer than, say, a guitar player, so my approach to songwriting often comes more from my experience as a drummer, and everything that I do on drums is really like groove oriented. And so looking for a drummer, I was I was, I didn't know exactly what I wanted out of a drummer. I wanted a drummer that was going to be groove oriented and melodic and heavy, and have a good mix between compositional and being able to jam and listen and take in all parts of the music and respond to that. And in searching for a drummer, I kind of found out that it's not straight up rock and roll. It's very, very much like groove oriented.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, when people ask, what kind of music is it? So now I usually say it's like just really groove-based rock and roll. We try to keep things poignant and simple and heavy too, and dirty.
Nice. What are some of the musicians that you enjoy listening to? I mean, who are some of your favorite bands?
Kind of, a lot of the staples in rock, of course. I feel that a lot of my influences, at least musically speaking, come from jazz, and like in college and late high school and after college, I listened to a lot of jazz, and Motown and stuff like that. But of course, I grew up on classic rock,
Yeah.
and some of the first albums,
What's your favorite album? I mean, do you have a favorite album?
Oh God, that's a really tough one.
Come on.
I want to give a shout out. Like, everybody says, everybody asks who are your influences, and of course you go back in time, and so everybody already knows these artists. It's like,
Well,
I don't need to give like the Rolling Stones exposure.
Well,
and,
you don't. But I mean,
band
if you love them, you might as well tell it.
Totally, and I do love those guys. So I'd rather use that air to talk about maybe some newer bands that are influencing me.
Yeah, well, who are some newer bands?
Rarely do like a lot of newer bands like really.
Well, tell me about
strike
it.
a chord. So Wye Oak would be a band, and they like Salt Lake. They've come to Salt Lake a few times. They're a smaller band. They're based out of Baltimore. They're a duo.
I'll have to check them out.
Hard to explain. It's darker. It's heavy. Her voice is amazing, and the guitar is very dirty and Cobain-esque, and I just think they have a great thing going. Wye Oak, W-Y-E Oak.
Wow, okay.
The folks over at Slow Train.
I missed that. I missed that shop.
Yeah. They hosted. I know they were big fans, and they hosted a little concert there once or twice, and I think they've played. They've played around.
Yeah.
I think they, the State Room one time and Slow Train one time, maybe the Urban.
Yeah, excellent. Tell me about the name. I mean, besides being the best 2 days of the week, the Weekenders. I mean, is there any meaning behind it? Was there any reason behind it, or was it just a cool name? I mean,
no, I names are, people struggle with names. I'm kind of a name guy. It's funny that I didn't come up with the name myself. The Weekenders comes from my Uncle Mark had a band back in the day called the Weekenders.
Oh.
He's a very musical guy, as is my father. And, I thought it was a cool name, but really the reason why I named the band the Weekenders is because I wanted to kind of pay tribute to my family, some of the musicians in my family that no longer played music but always had a passion for it and maybe wanted to pursue music but did not pursue music, to the fullest. So it's kind of homage to my family.
Did they inspire you to play music? I mean, did they really influence and push you to play music at a young age then?
Nobody really pushed me to play music. Nobody. Maybe other families do, but my family didn't really push me to do anything per se than what I enjoyed to do.
Yeah.
There wasn't very much academic pressure, I would say.
What instruments did you said your uncle was in the band the Weekenders? What instruments?
Yeah,
did
he was a singer.
Singer.
Yeah, but he is a huge music buff. He's a collector too, record collector, 45s mainly, rockabilly, rockabilly guru.
Wow.
It's funny, like his, he's got a couple bedrooms and they're all just filled to the ceiling with records. His life is records,
Well, it's straight out of High Fidelity.
Yeah. So he is he's definitely the inspiration behind the name. They came up with their name. It was actually a lyric in a Lou Reed song. Lou Reed song, I think it's "Perfect Day."
Great song.
Yeah.
Great song.
And there's a lyric in there, "The Weekenders."
So what do you think the biggest challenge for you then has been? I mean, I guess we probably kind of covered it in the beginning. As a band, the biggest challenge finding new musicians now. I mean, or what do you think the biggest challenge has been for you as a band?
As a band, it's just growing, really simply growing, because how can you grow when people are leaving all the time?
Yeah.
And
have you guys been on tour or anything? I mean, have you guys?
No, we haven't. And that, that's part of the reason too, is now I'm kind of just figuring out, a band is an interesting entity, because it's, it's like trying to run a business with people that you need to be friends with, but then you also need to have a musical chemistry, so it's like, it's like running a business, dating a bunch of girls, and making sure there's chemistry between all of you musically at the same time. It has this kind of, there's nothing like it, and I think it proves to be challenging.
Do you find it different? Like, people they start a band with their friend or something, and then it's like when they become a roommate, you find all these new things out about them, and then you find it challenging for the friendship even sometimes. I mean, it takes your friendship to a whole new level. I mean, do you find that true in your situations, or
yeah,
has it made it tough?
Unfortunately, since I'm not rooted here, and many of my close friends are not musicians, it makes it difficult to start a band organically. And I think most of the times bands start organically. It's just like two friends who play music.
Yeah.
And so they're friends, so they're like-minded to begin with. You have that root. And things just, like I said, progress naturally. Maybe one person plays bass, one person plays drums, and you guys hang out all the time, and you start to play music, and there's chemistry, and you play more music, and all of a sudden you become a band and you grow, and it just happens naturally. Where for me, here in Utah, where I don't have many, or I didn't when I first moved, I didn't have many kind of long-term friends, and the friends that I did make in Utah, a lot of them didn't play music, so it hasn't been an organic process for me. It's been more like take out a Craigslist ad, have a bunch of people come over, and then see who fits musically, and then maybe they fit personally, maybe they don't fit personally, and
I think a lot of bands do that though, don't they? I mean,
that's super common.
Yeah.
I mean, if people want to start a group, and their friends aren't musicians, then that's what they have to do. They have to network in some way, shape, or form.
What are your thoughts on the local Salt Lake music scene? I mean, in general.
When I first moved here, it might have been just the fact that I wasn't seeking out new music.
Yeah.
Or I didn't really understand that there was an underground scene happening. So I didn't give it much credit when I first moved here in 2001. Now I would say the scene is,
Do you have any favorite local bands or?
Yeah. I think the scene right now is exponentially more vibrant than when I first came here.
Yeah.
And that could just be my my ignorance when I first moved to Salt Lake, cooped up in Cottonwood Heights, part of like just skiing, and the only time I would go out to see music if it was an act that I knew about. So who knows? In 2001, the music scene could have been great here. I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I wasn't tapped in.
Well, who? Just out of curiosity, I mean, do you have any favorite? I mean, that you want to mention, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of great artists here. I think there's certain artists that are really, really, really talented. Josh Payne would be one. Jazz has been really dead for so long. Sad to say, it's an underappreciated art. It's also an art that is kind of plagued by people just doing what everyone else has done. It's an art where it's like, yeah, let's play some standards. Let's play songs right out of the real book. The whole point of jazz is to create and to improv and to be an artist. And so much jazz today is just being played for people eating dinner, and they're playing standards. They're playing Duke Ellington tunes or Monk tunes and whoever. They're playing songs that have been written, that have been played, and sorry to say, a lot of people aren't breathing new life into those songs. And that's fine. Covers are cool. You know what I mean? I respect people who play jazz, but I feel that it's an art, and if you're gonna play jazz music and be in a jazz band, why wouldn't you create new jazz or new music? And I think Josh Payne is doing that. I mean, he covers a lot of interesting pop songs, and he does a fair amount of covers, but his originals are his brightest efforts. His approach is really cool. He's got a brilliant little band, and they play all the time. You can't not catch the Josh Payne Orchestra, in one way, shape, or form. They're everywhere.
Check them out.
Yeah. I think they do Bar X on Sundays. They got a thing over at the Little America, Grand America thing. I think they do a thing at the Circle Lounge. They have multiple residencies, which is cool.
What advice would you give somebody who wanted to start a band? What advice would you give? Or we can come back to that one too.
No, it's fine. I just maybe give it some thought. If it's one thing I would say to people is don't compromise on the musical intentions and your goals stylistically. Keep searching for the right people. There will always be people that are like-minded that want to do the same thing as you do musically speaking. And there's nothing worse than having to micromanage people. I don't want to have to tell a drummer what to play. I don't want to have to tell a guitar player how to phrase a line. You know what I mean? It's insulting to art.
Yeah.
I don't go into a painter's studio and tell them, you don't use pink for that. Why don't you use a dark purple? I'm not going to tell them what brush to use. That's their art. That's their form. That's how they speak. So a lot of times you'll see bands fail because maybe the lead guy or someone in the band has a different idea for what they want to do, how it wants to sound, how they want it to sound. They'll tell the other people how to play. That becomes a weird environment. So take your time in choosing your musicians. Pick them wisely. Find people who play what's right for the music, whatever that music is.
If you were given the opportunity to tour with any band, who would you pick from? I mean, a famous national band, a local band.
Obviously, you want to tour with it'd be nice to tour with a bigger name act,
Let's say it didn't matter how many people they were going to draw, but it was just your dream band to go on a tour with.
That's playing right now live.
They could be dead. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't fit in a genre, but it wouldn't fit in the genre, but and they don't ever tour with support. But I would love to tour with Medeski Martin Wood, only because I would love to see them play every night. Every show's different. They bring so much to the music. They play with a lot of intensity, and they're just brilliant. They're so fun to see. But stylistically, we wouldn't match up. We're talking about a band that's highly improv, groove, jazz, lots of roots and soul and urban. But yeah, I'd like to tour with those guys. Why not? It'd be great to see them every night.
No, and that's even part of the question. It's like, hey, who would you like to to jam with every night and have fun with and party, drink a beer with? And, have some fun with. And besides playing in a band, I mean, what are some of your other interests? I mean, you mentioned snowboarding. I mean,
skiing.
Skiing.
Yeah.
You're a skier.
That's why I first moved here. That's what brought me out.
And you moved here from New York?
From New York. I used to be a little butler. I was in
butler.
Yeah, I was. There was this old woman down the street from me, and in 7th and 8th grade, I used to go over to her house like twice a week, and I used to clean up. I used to be like her little mini butler. And her son was a skier out here, and I was a skier too. There was this huge photo on her wall, and this guy's like, neck deep in powder. And like we didn't even know that powder could get that deep on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Like that, it's just nonsense. It's like blowing over his head. You could see like a hand.
Yeah.
Or like, part of his pole and like a goggle. I'm like, wow, that's cool. And she's like, that's Alta, Utah. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to go check that out. One of these days. And
so what did all your family and friends say when you were like, I'm gonna move to Utah?
I think they knew it was coming. I applied for some schools out here, and I got in, and then my mom said, well, you can't go to school all the way out in Utah. Obviously, it'd be too expensive to fly back and forth for the breaks and stuff. So, economically, it just wasn't where I was at. I wanted to come out here, though, knowing nothing about Utah at all. In fact, I applied to BYU.
Wow.
Having no idea that it was a Mormon-based school. Like I just thought it was like a Catholic school or something. I was just,
That's excellent. That's the best story.
I didn't even know, and I actually got accepted there.
Really?
And I'm reading through the pamphlet. I'm like, open up the pamphlet, and I'm going through and they're talking about the church and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is kind of more religious than I thought. And then I got to like a section in the orientation guide that was like the dress code.
And you're like, I can't have a beard.
For guys and girls. Well, I didn't even have facial hair when I was a senior in high school, so I had like a couple straggles coming out that I probably had to shave every month or two. But it said there was something with shorts, something about hair length. Definitely, there was beard issues there.
And for those that you can't see, Rob has longer hair and a beard, so you know what I mean. He does not fit the BYU profile.
I guess I don't. And I read that and I was like, I guess I'm not going here. And so I went to school in upstate New York, which was incredible. And
did you go to school here in Salt Lake at all? Then did you go to the U then, or
no? I went to college in upstate New York, Plattsburgh, a little town called Plattsburgh.
And then after you were done with school there, then you came out to Utah for skiing.
Yep.
Or did you ski and then go back to school and then back?
No, I finished school and then we hit the road.
And are you married then or no?
I'm not. No.
You're not married. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. That was 11 years ago.
Wow. And I mean, what do you think of Salt Lake? I mean, in general. I mean, from in those 11 years. I mean, a lot has changed here.
Yeah.
A lot has really changed here, and
enormous amounts of change here in the last 11 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably say that about a lot of the country.
Well, yeah. But I think Salt Lake, yeah,
positive. I mean, when I first moved here, it was skiing and everything else was terrible. That's what I thought of Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Of course, I was a jaded New Yorker. I couldn't find good pork fried rice in Midvale, and I was done. That was it. I was
You're like, I'm out of here.
This is fucking terrible. I couldn't find good Chinese food for the life of me, or good pizza for that matter.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it. Now there's tons of it.
Yeah.
Chinese food existed before. I just didn't know the spots. It was always around. I just didn't hit the spots. There's only a couple spots in Salt Lake that have the really good Chinese food, but pizza did not exist in Utah.
Compared to New York, I mean, New York's got.
Yeah, I mean, there was
phenomenal
pizza here. You could get a slice of pizza. I mean, jeez, did you want to eat it?
Yeah.
I mean,
But now
like,
there's some good pizza joints now.
there's great pizza. You know, it started with Este, and from then on, all the places started popping up, and it's great. Like, healthy competition. It's great.
What is something you would change? I mean, is there anything you would change about Salt Lake if you could, or I mean, off the top of your head, or not?
You know, I got a lot of love for Salt Lake these days. Yeah, there's things you change about everywhere. Salt Lake's pretty damn good for the most part. I think it's getting better and better every day. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, you hit the head on the nail there. I mean, anywhere you go is going to have its downfalls.
Yeah.
It's going to have its positives, its negatives. I mean, Salt Lake City is a beautiful city. I mean, it's hard to really complain. I mean, there's a few obscurities, obviously.
I got one gripe with this place. It's the air quality, man. It kills me.
It gets hard when the inversion and the mountains and the smog and the pollution.
Yeah, that's my big gripe.
And I don't know what would really change that. I guess more people walking and taking public transportation and.
Kennecott, this big producer out there. Somebody's got to do a little something out there. Who knows? You know?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother debate.
Well, let's get back to your band really quick here. You know, to kind of wrap things up here. I mean, a little bit. You have a CD.
We do.
An album. An album. How many? There 10 songs on there. Or how many songs?
10 songs.
10 songs. How was that? I mean, was that pretty fun to record or what?
Yeah. It came during a time where we were going through musicians. Like I said, it's been an ongoing revolving cast of people coming in and out. So, you know, the first thing I did after I started to write a bunch of songs, I realized that, you know, studio time's expensive, and I should probably learn that myself. And I just started slowly picking up microphones and gear and more instruments, and that kind of became an addiction in and of itself, is gear.
And it gets expensive.
It does, but it's really fun and it's rewarding. So I did the whole album in my spare bedroom.
Nice.
All of it was recorded there except for one track was recorded over at Mike's studio. So I did all the recording there, and so, you know, since we were kind of in and out of bass players, and I played bass on most of the album.
Which is a great album, by the way. I mean, you can listen to it. You can listen to it free on Facebook.
Yeah, you can download it for free.
Download it for free.
Yeah, we make it easy for people to understand that it's out there and it's available. So if they hit us up on any type of...
Is it on Spotify or anything like that?
It is on Spotify. It's, you know, we have a band page through Facebook, and we also have our own website where we host it, and you're able to download it for free.
Which I'll link all that back to iamsaltlake.com so people can you know find it, you know, check it out and find you, especially after listening to this interview. I want
awesome.
I want to get that, and I'd like to, you know, even play a couple tracks from it on this episode of the podcast. You know,
cool, man.
I think it'd be great as long as you're okay with that.
Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm giving it away. I want people to hear it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So, yeah, it's.
And how long ago did you record that?
It was mostly recorded in 2011, and it was just released back in June.
Okay, so fairly new.
Yeah, it took a little bit of time. Like I said, since you know, my drummer's on about half the tracks, I play drums on the other half the tracks, and then, you know, I wish it was more of a collaborative effort. I hope my next album will be, or our next album, I should say. You know, I didn't have all the players all lined up, so I just did. You know, I wanted to do it, and I wasn't gonna not do it. So I just kind of decided to do most of it myself.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I also felt that if I had something that was worthwhile, I could find musicians with it. So part of like creating the album was like, I need to find musicians. I need to find some good musicians who want to play music with me. Well, I need to have songs recorded, you know, otherwise I'm just dicking around. And so it's like...
Now, why did you go the route of just, hey, you know what, maybe offering one or two free downloads and sell the rest of the CD? Why Why all free downloads?
You know, I thought about that for a while, and I was listening to an interview with Billy Corgan. Well, he's one of my favorite artists. I'm a '90s kid, you know. I'm 32.
Yeah, same.
High school, a lot of Smashing Pumpkins. I love those guys. I just also really like Billy. He just tells it like it is. He's not afraid to lay it out there. He gets a lot of shit for it, but I dig it. And he was saying today, you really got to pay your dues. And
so you felt this maybe, giving a free download CD was kind of just giving something a little bit back to the music community, or?
Well, the way I look at it is, there's millions of bands, and everybody's got a Facebook page, and everybody's got a Reverb Nation page, and everybody's got a website, and everybody's posting about their band, and there's hundreds of shows in all these cities every night all across the country, and it's like, it's overload.
Yeah.
It's music overload, and it's great. There's awesome artists out there now that you would never, never, never be exposed to if it wasn't for the internet. But it's oversaturated. Who is going to buy my album? They don't know who I am. I'm just some random guy from Salt Lake making some music. Like, why are they going to buy my album? Why are they even going to click to listen to it? When there's all this other stuff going on, all this noise, all this stuff. There's just noise today. All this advertising. Every time you open up a screen, every time you drive somewhere, every time you turn on the TV, every time you listen to the radio, people are coming at you from 1,000 different angles all the time. It's like bombardment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, you need to pay your dues. You need to get your name out there. You need to give away some shit. Like,
absolutely. I love it. No, I think it's great, and I'm going to be honest with you. I think a lot more bands should take a listen to this and say, you know what, I gotta get my music out there, and then maybe your next album, obviously, maybe, sell some music on there. But at the same time, it's not free either, though. It's not.
I value art, and the last thing I want to do is tell people that their music is worth no money. Their music is worthless, because it's not.
Yeah.
It takes money. It costs money to make it. It costs a lot of money to make it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time. It's a lot of love. There's a lot of effort that goes into making music. People shouldn't have to paint and give it away for free. People shouldn't have to make clothes and give it away for free. People shouldn't have to make music and give it away for free.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable. So I'm not encouraging, all music be free.
Well, no, and I realize that. But I do see I do realize where you're coming from as well. I think a lot of people, they just automatically think, okay, I'm going to write a song and I'm going to become the next, Green Day or the next Blink-182 or something, and then have a giant tour bus and make $1 million.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere.
Totally. And the story that you don't hear is most good things start small and organically. There's always kind of been a myth in the music industry, is that all these bands just, one day were nothing and then the next day they were enormous. No.
Yeah.
Those people busted their ass. Most people, it took years. It wasn't overnight. There's very few overnight success stories.
There's a few.
There are. But like, a lot of these people were busting their ass.
Yeah.
And maybe it was a short amount of time, from garage to stadium, but they were putting in the hours, writing the music and dialing in their sound. You know what I mean?
Well, what's in the future for the Weekenders? Anything coming up? Any shows coming up that you wanna mention here in the next little while, or you got CDs, you got T-shirts at all, or?
Yeah, we have some merchandise. We got some shirts.
And you can find those probably on the the CDs. I mean, obviously. Now, do you give out free CDs, or is it all just download? Because that would get expensive.
No, you come to a show. You want a disc? I'll give you a disc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you just recently played some shows last week.
Yeah, we just did a couple shows, last round of shows with our old drummer at Kilby Court with a really good band from New York City.
I love that place. I love Kilby Court.
Me too. The Dig, they were good, and another great band from Denver called The Congress. We played a show at Bar Deluxe with them. We had a great time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And
shows coming up. We got one December 29th at the Garage, and that's it for right now. I haven't been booking a lot just because we're in a transitional period. We're getting this new drummer all ready to go and start it up and tighten it back up.
But you're on Facebook and Twitter.
Yep.
And then you have the website and any other media outlets that I need to be aware of to even link back to the website?
That's it. I mean, there's all sorts of little music pages like Reverb Nation and Band Page, but that's all linked in through Facebook for the most part.
Okay.
And like we have our site, so that's basically, you can find everything out there.
Well, excellent. Anything you want to add, or anything that maybe we didn't cover, or anything you want to say before we wrap this up that maybe we didn't talk about? Or
just thanks for having me. And
absolutely.
It's like I said, it's you got to pay your dues. So it's nice when people reach out to you, like you have reached out to me, just to talk about music.
Yeah.
Because it is my passion. I like to chat about it.
Awesome.
And so I'm just thankful for folks like you, man.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and willing to talk and find out your story and join us on the podcast. And
it's a good excuse to come downtown. You're real close to the Gourmandy. You can get a cannoli right now.
Excellent.
I think it's still open.
Excellent. Well, I'll let you get going then, and thank you very much. And everybody, check out the band The Weekenders. Honestly, a great band. I'm gonna play a song here. I'm gonna play a few songs, and check them out. TheWeekenders.com, correct? Or what's
TheWeekendersmusic.com.
Excellent. And again, we'll connect all that back on the IamSaltLake.com. Thank you very much, Rob, and we'll maybe get you back here down the road, and we'll get the whole band here talking.
Yeah, let's do it.
And see where you come in a few months. So thank you very much. All right, thank you so much, Rob. The Weekenders. Check them out, theweekendersmusic.com. Again, you could check out all their information at IamSaltLake.com. Click on episode 15 show notes. So that's going to be IamSaltLake.com/episode 15. That's the Weekenders. Check them out. Add them on Facebook, Twitter, the whole 9 yards. Really cool guys. Rob was really cool. I want to meet the rest of the band. Anyways, that's going to do it for episode 15. We're going to be back on Sunday with a brand new episode, with a brand new person. Get to know Salt Lake City a little bit better. Until then, download the rest of the episodes. Subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher Radio. You guys have a good night. Talk to you later. Thanks a lot, Salt Lake City.